Velasky, and this is Ojai Valley News In Depth. Joining us today here in the studio is Jamie Fleming, Executive Director of the Ojai Film Festival. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure, my pleasure. It's just a week away.
I know, October 20th to 23rd.
Yes.
So tell us some of the highlights of this year. I know you've made some changes logistically.
We have. First of all, just putting a billboard on Highway 33 has been so fun because more people enjoyed the fact that we had the Hollywood sign as Ojai on the mountains. And so a lot of people talked to us about, oh, it's coming. So that's already been a change. But what we did is we moved all the screenings that were at Matilaha, which was a drive in a car downtown, to the Theater 150. So now we're using all venues within walking distance of the Arts Center, and we're going to make this much more of a Ojai experience where you can go to restaurants, go to the movies, just never get back in your car. So.
Perfect for Ojai.
Yes, it is.
We like that kind of thing. And we have a very special screening and a special guest this year. Every year you folks do a special screening that's free for the public.
We do.
This year we're talking about October 20th, Ensign Nellie, Mitzi Gaynor coming for South Pacific in Libby Bowl.
Thursday night. Every year we do a free screening to the community, and we're really looking forward to having Mitzi Gaynor in person. She's going to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award on Thursday night there, and she's going to say a few words, and there'll be a highlight reel of her career. So it should be a special evening.
Oh, how fun.
Libby Bowl.
Yes, in Libby Bowl, which is awesome.
We're really excited to try the new amphitheater.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I think you were telling me about 70 plus films this year?
77 films. We get about 400 films from all over the world. We have them go through a whole very strict screening process. It gets narrowed down, and usually we try and end up with 60. But this year, we couldn't narrow it down past the 77 because they were so good. And so we're going to do 77 this year. And they will be at the on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Downtown Playhouse Theater, at the Ojai Arts Center, at the Theater 150, and then we also have Gold Coast screenings.
Yes.
And Gold Coast screenings, we tried this last year. It's fun because we actually showcase regional filmmakers, and they come with their films, they talk, we get to see what they make, and those will be shown at Chaparral on Friday. And I think we have about 3 of them on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. So Brooks Institute, of course, is always bringing cutting-edge things. We're also looking at Patagonia as well, just down the hill in Ventura, always bringing something real exciting.
It is so special that Patagonia every year now comes and brings a special film or two that their filmmakers make. And this year it's their brand new body surfing film. And that's going to be shown on Saturday night at 8 o'clock at Chaparral. And so that's a must-see, too, because their films are always really well done.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, it's always really exciting stuff, too, you know, cutting edge, that whole adrenaline thing. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Their filmmakers come, and they're the types that really like to go much more into quality, the ecology, or really the in-depth thing behind the scenes of a sport. Mm-hmm. So it makes their films even more unique.
Mm-hmm. And going along those lines, of course, with these 77, or I guess 76 other films, we've got some really big names coming up here in for panels. And so tell us a little bit about some of these really cutting-edge films that we're looking at. You and I were discussing a film called 0%.
Yes. 0% is a interesting look at a correctional institution that put together a college education program, a really solid one, and the film covers how that is really changing the inmates' lives, even though what the 0% means, of course, they don't graduate. But they really it is an in-depth study on how they change their lives through the education.
Sure, rehabilitating instead of just the slap on the wrist and thrown behind bars for a while.
It's a fascinating film. We also have a couple others I'd like to talk about. The Confession. It's a very sweet movie about a little boy who is going to go for his first confession.
I remember that.
But then he realizes he doesn't have anything to really report that's sinful, and so he gets the help of one of his buddies, and they decide to do something so that he'll have something to confess. Tragically, but of course making the movie interesting, that little escapade turns into a disaster. So it's a really cute movie, but it's an interesting movie. We also have a movie called From the Ground Up, and this follows the lives of 5 widows of firemen who died in the 9/11 disaster. And so it's a very moving film about how they've picked up their lives and carried on a very positive resolve. And the last film I want to talk about was called Beatboxing.
Yes.
And this is very unique because many people might not really think back to the 70s when we started hearing people making noises with their mouths to make the percussion noise of a song. And this film actually shows and documents how that cultural way of making music back in the 70s has actually grown worldwide and is still done quite a bit worldwide. So that's another film that I think it would be very interesting.
I agree. It's one of those things that, I mean, who hasn't done that, in their lives, just sitting there kind of... Exactly. I'm glad you did it because I wasn't going to do it.
I was waiting for you.
Another highlight, of course, the Laemmle Theater is bringing in some great independent films this year, big names in the industry.
We're thrilled to have Laemmle Theaters partner with us this year, and we're hoping this will be an annual thing. On Friday night, 8 o'clock at Matilaha, Greg Laemmle, who's the grandson of Carl Laemmle, who was one of the founders of Universal Studios. Their family has always either been in the film business producing or in the theater business. Well, Greg is partnering with us, and he personally has selected a film called Jolene, which he thinks is a very special independent film. He's bringing the producer and the director with him, and they're going to show it at 8 o'clock on Friday night at Matilaha, and they're going to talk after the film.
Well, hey, what can I say? So of course, we've got a lot of other things going on that are aside from the films. Tell us about some of the panels.
The panels are, I think, really what makes this festival very unique in the sense that we really try to let people learn about the film business too. And the panels are designed not for just filmmakers, but they're for people who love films or just want to learn. So we have, starting off, Steven D'Souza again from last year. He is a mega hit screenwriter who did The Die Hards, 48 Hours, Commando, Tomb Raider 3, the Sarah Croft series. He is one of the few screenwriters who can say their films have made over $2 billion in revenue. But he's going to talk at 10:30 on Saturday at the Arts Center. Following him, we have a panel of really fascinating producers. Why they're interesting is Susan Kartsonis, who is coming, is a producer who has always made movies that she believes are really for the woman to enjoy. And Aquamarine, Where the Heart Is, What Women Want. Of course, the men enjoyed that one too.
Love that
but
one.
She's a super producer, and she's going to be coming. Her friend, Fran Kazooie, is coming and actually flying in from New York, whose fame is she was the director of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer and has been involved with that whole series on TV as executive producer. But she's been so involved in independent film producing that she's going to be fascinating to have on there also. Another panel to talk about is we've got what I call the all-star panel. These are filmmaker guys who are just unbelievable, and they all agreed to come. And so I'm going to look at my notes so I can keep all these straight. But we have 4-time Academy Award winner, actually not winner, but nominee, Bo Welch. And his movies include, he was the production designer on Men in Black, Thor, Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands, just to name off a few.
One of my favorites.
Edward Deutsch, as a director, he did Pretty in Pink, which was a great movie, Whole 10 Yards, The Replacements, Grumpy Old Men, etc. He's going to be fun to listen to also. Scott Mednick, as the producer, he did 300. He did Spider-Man Returns, We Are Marshall, and many others, of course. But we also have our local resident, Dave Lukenbach, and this man is wonderful. He's going to take the time. He's been the cameraman on, he just finished actually The Amazing Spider-Man. He's been on all the Pirates of the Caribbean. He did Hancock, Valkyrie. He's been a very busy man also. So that's my all-star panel. At 3 o'clock, we finish off with Owen Roizman, who is being honored this year as the Lifetime Achievement Award winner for the cinematography career he's had. And this man, again, 5-time Academy Award nominee for films such as French Connection, Tootsie, Network, The Exorcist, You know,
my gosh.
movies like this. And this
Freaks me out just thinking about it.
for this panel, he's going to bring footage and talk about how he set up scenes. Should be fascinating. And he speaks at 3:30 on Saturday also. All of these are at the Art Center on Saturday afternoon. And I should mention that any of this information can be found on the Ojai website,
Yes.
which is easy to remember, ojaifilmfestival.com.
Easy enough.
And so you can get more in-depth speakers and all. Lastly, we have an acting workshop, which is going to be held on Saturday from 10 to 4. And we've got Mark Durso, who's one of the top acting coaches. He's flying in from Miami
Wow.
to teach. All of his clients are on Broadway or in films. He's phenomenal to have. But paired up with him, we also have Paul Weber. And this man, for his career, has been one of the major casting directors in Hollywood, especially tied with MGM. And right now he's casting about 5 projects. And he and Mark together are going to put on this acting workshop. So definitely anyone who's aspiring and wants to really get a good couple hours of really casting info and knowledge, this is a great thing to catch also.
And of course, this is only just a tiny little, you know, we could go on for days.
I could just start, giving the descriptions of 77 films. It might take a little while,
Right,
but
right.
yes, they're all fascinating. You can see them all on the website. They're all listed.
Thank you so much for filling us in.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You got it. The Ojai Film Festival will be coming to town October 20th to 23rd. I'm Misty Velasky. This is Jamie Fleming. This has been Ojai Valley News In Depth.